You get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
I'm not questioning your motivation. I'm questioning Trump's, okay? And if we can say that you went there in good faith, but maybe, just maybe, he wasn't there in good faith. I mean, you sold him on the Iran deal and he took it in. I mean, give me a break, okay? So the idea here is that your motivation is sound, but what's the impact? And I think a lot of people out there, fans of yours, people who love you, people who are fans of you, like me, I've been fans of you.
You don't have to patronize me, dude. I don't know you. I never met you.
I'm just saying that this comes from
not everybody has to like it.
That's
what we said. There are people who didn't want it to happen at all. You sound like one of them. It's
no,
okay.
But
did you hear what I...
Josh, you get close to them and then it starts to take over.
Yeah, guess what, America? Guess what, America? We're all part of the same hypocrisy. All right? Including Steve, including myself. We're all.
Keep me out of it.
Yeah. Too late.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. You're in it.
Bill Maher just dropped a bomb on the woke crowd, and he didn't hold back, uploading the entire segment to his own channel. As expected, the woke Democrats are absolutely livid, but if you look closely, there's something much bigger happening here. Bill is clearly shifting further to the right than ever before. On his latest show, he completely dismantled one of his woke Democrat guests, Josh Rogan, and said the very thing the left has been trying to avoid for years. It was a bold moment that cut through the noise, and trust me, this is one you want to watch all the way through.
I wanted to report exactly what I saw. I did it to the best of my abilities.
Counterpoint?
Yes.
Counterpoint?
Yeah.
You know, Bill, I think you're right in saying that people have made too much of this, okay? It's not the Ulta Summit. You're not Churchill. Kid Rock is not Stalin. Trump shit is an FDR, okay? So, yes, I believe too much has been made about this, but I think you've fallen into the trap. I think I represent 99% of the internet when I say this, is that you've played the game of proximity is principle. And what people are worried about is not your motivation. We believe you. We love you, Bill. Everybody loves Bill, right? So, I'm not questioning your motivation. I'm questioning Trump's, okay? And if we can say that you went there in good faith, but maybe, just maybe, he wasn't there in good faith. I mean, you sold him on the Iran deal and he took it in. I mean, give me a break, okay? So the idea here is that your motivation is sound, but what's the impact? And I think a lot of people out there, fans of yours, people who love you, people who are fans of you, like me, I've been fans of you.
You don't have to patronize me, dude. I don't know you. I never met you.
I'm just saying that this comes from
not everybody has to like it. That's what we said. There are people who didn't want it to happen at all. You sound like one of them. It's okay. No. But did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Like, what is the alternative to not talking? Just sit at your lunch table and don't talk to anybody.
I talk to him. I've interviewed Trump. Here's the interview.
That's just not an interview. This was not an interview.
I agree with the principle of engagement. I'm just saying, from his perspective, you have to understand that people out there know, all Americans know, that for him this was a PR stunt, and in his view, you were a prop in that PR stunt.
I don't even know why Bill Maher invited that woke nonsense onto his show in the first place. But honestly, I'm glad he did. In the end, he gave the guy a full dose of his own medicine. What made it even better was that Bill saw it coming from a mile away. He actually called out before it even happened. He knew the woke crowd wasn't going to like a single word of what he had to say. And sure enough, just like clockwork, instead of listening to the truth, they completely ignored it and went right back to pushing their same old bias agenda.
I think.
Well, it's just good politics to pick taxes on tips, all these little things.
Yeah. It's somewhat of a distraction from the ongoing.
And raise taxes on the wealthy. He said it last week.
Is that coming?
It's coming.
But what about the tax cut for the wealthy? Isn't that coming too?
No. It's going to be extended. He's not going to extend the tax cuts for the wealthy. He's going to no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime.
So you're saying all the donors are about to get a tax hike?
They're already screaming. But he told the Senate that he's open to when extending the tax cuts, not extend them.
Open to. So
no. But he's already, I think, and Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, I think, is working on this. Not to extend it to the upper bracket or make a new bracket.
And you think Congress is going to pass that, knowing who they get their money from?
They do whatever he tells them to do.
If President Trump comes in and says to do it, he'll
So the Steve Bannon plan is that Republicans are going to abandon the donor class, and then what's going to happen in 2020?
Where else are they going to go? we got total leverage over them. Where else are they going to go?
Well, there's another election coming up.
They're going in the midterms and the thing. But where else are they going to go? If you don't restore the economic viability of the working class and the middle class, and you have to do that by sealing the border, right? So it's not flooded with illegal alien labor. Number two is the tariffs to bring manufacturing jobs back. And the third is that working class and middle class people need a tax cut. They need no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and most importantly, no tax on Social Security. That's another $500 billion a year we have to come with. That's why, by the way, it's going to be a huge fight. But the Democrats and progressives had control in 2021 in those first 100 days, and they put up a taxing the billionaires, and it didn't even get out of committee.
I have no idea where they found this guy, but he perfectly represents why the Democrats are on track to lose even more male voters across the country. He comes off like the awkward, unwanted kid in a room full of adults, constantly interrupting, shouting over others, and contributing absolutely nothing meaningful to the conversation. Honestly, it feels like Josh is just chasing clout, trying to make a name for himself in the mainstream media by bashing Trump at every opportunity, even if it makes him look completely ridiculous in the process.
Tariffs? Did I ever think I was going to be talking about tariffs every day? I really didn't. I did not see that coming up. And it's fucking boring. I don't like tariffs. I think I'm generally with the consensus, which is that this is some chaotic attempt to bring back an era in this country that has just gone with the wind, the manufacturing. But I don't know. I was shocked to see that the failing New York Times.
You're even sounding like him.
Their headline a week ago was "Global Trade Robs U.S." Trump says, "Does he have a point?"
Yeah. I mean, I think Trump has this amazing ability to correctly diagnose a problem and then to bungle the solution with a policy that's totally incoherent and incompetent. And I think that's what we're seeing here. I mean, if you think about it, it's obvious that they don't have a strategy because the strategy changes every day and the people at the top of the administration have no idea what the strategy is. They can't articulate it. And saying that you're going to only have a trade war with China and not the rest of the world is kind of like saying, oh, don't worry, we're not going to burn down the house. We're just going to set fire to the kitchen. And then everything's going to be okay. And it's reckless. And people know that. And real people suffer from the consequences of the collateral damage that comes from jerking back and forth into we're going to have huge tariffs, then we're not going to have huge tariffs.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes that. I mean,
No, but isn't he just doing what he always does, Donald Trump? He'll take an extreme position. He starts there. He throws everything against the wall. He sees how it plays out, and he starts to game it, and then he starts to work out what's popular, what's not. Where's he reached in 1 week? Total mayhem to start with. Markets freaking, everything collapsing, everyone going crazy. Liberals around the world going into anaphylactic shock. Fine. They literally do that when he wakes up, so it's fine. But look where we ended up the week. Markets roaring back, and actually China, who is the main target of his eye and always has been. I've interviewed him probably more than any journalist alive. He's always gone on about China ripping off America. And on that, he's absolutely right. It has. And now he's ended up in a place where it's United States against China. And I would actually back the United States to win a trade war right now with China and put China back in its box. What I did.
If I had to describe this guy in one word, it would be arrogant. Actually, make that arrogant, and deeply unlikable. He might just be the most out-of-touch guest Bill Maher's ever had on his show. For anyone watching this from outside the U.S., it's painfully obvious. These people seem more obsessed with destroying Trump's reputation than actually doing anything productive for the country. What they fail to see is that Trump is actively trying to make America great again. And that's exactly what terrifies them.
2017, when Trump was president first, they're much stronger, they're much more powerful, they have a lot of relationships. And when we wage a trade war on the rest of the world at the same time, we're essentially pushing them into China's waiting arms. Because you can wage a war on China, but you can't wage a war on every country in the world.
The thing I learned this week, reading a couple of people, Fareed Zakaria mostly, he was great on it, but a few people brought up this point that I think really went under the radar, is that we're not a country who's being suckered and doing terrible and getting our ass kicked. Everything is always, everybody's taking advantage. And, just some stats that are out there. 2008, the U.S. economy was about the same size as the European Union. Now it's twice. Went from 14 to 28 trillion, and they only went up to 15. Okay? 1990, average U.S. wages were 20% greater than the overall average in every industrialization. Now they're 40% higher, $80,000. A lot of this stuff you don't realize because, I don't know, I'm going to say Americans are complainers. Obviously, if your life isn't going great and you're struggling, and a lot of people are, that's very real to you. But Mississippi, I read, our poorest state, is richer than France, richer than the UK, richer than Japan. So we're doing this sort of on a false premise. Also, I thought this was really interesting. Wages. I mean, the wage gap has not really changed since 1960. If you add in all the money that goes from taking it from rich people for benefits and so forth, it's pretty much the same as it was in 1960. I don't think people are using this model to make their decisions about the economy. I think a lot of people with the tariffs are like, we're so fucked, the system is just corrupt, so throw it all out. Just we need something drastic, just break everything.
Right.
And what's there to lose? And you have a lot to lose. Your 401k, your car that you can't afford now. You have a lot to lose.
I think, Bill, I think you're exactly right on this point. I think what Trump has done, again, in classic Trump fashion, is identified a real problem. The benefits of globalization since the end of the Cold War were not evenly distributed amongst the rich and the poor. And that was a failing of Western governments. But
see, this is exactly the kind of thing the woke liberals work overtime to hide from you. Because at the end of the day, their only goal is to push more hate toward Trump, no matter the cost. And honestly, this guy might be the most annoying person I've ever seen on TV, worse than anything on MSNBC or CNN. These woke activists never have any real solutions to the actual problems America is facing. But the moment Trump steps up to fix something, they lose their minds, screaming into the void like it's the end of the world.
You work for the Washington Post. Your owner, Jeff Bezos, has done a lot more than Bill Maher in crossing the divide with Trump. He used to be very critical of Trump. But in the last year and a half or so, or since his shooting actually, he seems to have performed a massive U-turn on Trump. He called him and praised him after he was shot at a New York Times event in December. Bezos said he was optimistic about a second Trump presidency. He had dinner at Mar-a-Lago in December 2024. He pledged $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund. He attended the inauguration. Amazon, obviously one of his companies, main company, streamed Trump's inauguration on its Prime Video service and is also paying $40 million for a Melania Trump documentary. I mean, as a Washington Post senior journalist, how do you feel about all that?
Yeah, well, again, I wasn't trying to criticize Bill, and if it came off that way, then maybe I didn't craft my critique perfectly. I was trying to criticize the idea that engagement with Trump is some sort of bridge towards healing the cultural divide, because I just don't think that's going to be the result. And I think when business leaders go to meet with Trump, that's a different set of calculations. And I work at the Washington Post. I'm not privy to what goes on at the ownership level. I just work there. I'm not part of the management. I'm not part of the ownership. I've never met Jeff Bezos. I don't know what his calculations are. And I know that's above my pay grade, Piers. It's not a duck. It's just I don't have any insight into what goes on above me at the Washington Post. All I can say is that I'm not against engagement, and I understand that Trump is the president, and business leaders have to engage with the president, and the way that they do it matters. That's how I feel about it. All right, but Josh,
look, if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. I mean, you can appreciate that if you're Bill Maher watching you refusing to be remotely critical of what your own owner has done with Trump in terms of kissing the ring, you could potentially see that he might think there's a double standard there.
That's all I got to say about this guy. He's completely betrayed everything he once claimed to stand for, and it all played out live on TV for everyone to see. Let us know what you think about him by dropping a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. There's plenty more truth coming your way. Stay tuned.